Hi, Roy here. So, hello and special hello to new subscribers. This will be the last in the week of me reading one comic. Yes, a week to read a comic. And we're going to look at the final story, which is about Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen. Okay, so Jimmy Olsen, good old Jimmy, who had his own comic for a long time. In fact, the this is Superman Family number 171. The numbering continued from Jimmy Olsen. I think the first of these Superman families was numbered as 164. So before that, 163 Jimmy Olsen comics, and they tended to be lightweight, often quite humorous comics where Jimmy gets in various scrapes, often seem to involve him transforming into some creature or superhero with powers of his own, and or stuff about secret identities, finding the secret identity of Superman, that sort of thing. So jolly stuff, pretty undemanding. However, now this came out in 1975. In the early 70s, for a brief period, Jimmy Olsen, of all the comics that this could happen to, was like the most amazing comic ever. To me, one of the best comics of all time. So that was a period when Jack Kirby took it over. So Jack, a writer, artist, had moved across from Marvel, and legend has it that he asked to be given the worst selling book to show that he could transform it. And it was in the pages of Jimmy Olsen that he introduced this vast apocalyptic saga, the Fourth World series that straddled various comics, New Gods, Forever People, Mr. Miracle. Um, so this is where we got the first intimations of that, together with loads of wild science fiction concepts, um, a weird take on the counterculture, and it's sort of, you know, crazy artwork that was the sort of, mind blowing. It's turning ideas of psychedelia, for instance, into science fiction concepts. Um, Loads more. Like I say, there's this massive epic saga going on. There's some characters from the 40s reappearing, and some utterly opaque and impenetrable vaudevillian humour. So a heady brew, and um, like I say, I'm trying to think how to explain that to people who don't read comics, because I know lots of people who watch this aren't necessarily comics people. There's probably folks here who jumped on board because I was talking about James Joyce's Ulysses, and they're like, well, we'll give him another 10 minutes, but if he doesn't get back on the 20th century modernist authors soon, we're going to bail. Um, but yeah, Jack Kirby taking over Jimmy Olsen. It was, think of something like Scooby Doo cartoons, always been the same. The formulaic, unthreatening. Imagine if William Blake took over the running of Scooby Doo. So mid season of Scooby Doo, they just announced that the resurrected spirit of visionary poet and artist William Blake was going to be in charge from now on, and yeah, with unlimited, no creative control above himself and an infinite budget, like that. But by the time we get to 1975, that's all in the past. That's all happened. And anyway, this Jimmy Olsen story is a reprint from the late 60s. So forget everything I've just said about all of that. Nothing to do with this. So here's Jimmy Olsen, little guy with his red hair, freckled face, and bow tie. And this story is called Jimmy Olsen, Boy Wonder. Because take Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, add makeup, a colourful costume, and you have Robin, the Boy Wonder. So, story Carrie Bates, art Pete Costanza. Um, and it starts off, there's this group called the Mystery Analysts, who are various detective types and sort of detective adjacent people like the DA. There's a crime writer called, um, what's her name? Kay Day. And they have a kind of mystery solving club. And we see one of their meetings where they're sitting around a table and they've got those little signs, like meeting signs, in front of them on the table with their names, which is kind of funny because they must all know each other. And like there's Batman in his costume with a little sign that says Batman. um, anyway, Jimmy Olsen wants to join. He thinks he qualifies to be one of these mystery analysts, and he's making the point that as Agent Double Five, one of his things he does is being an agent. I've worked on several top priority missions. Here I'm keeping enemy agents from stealing a giant model of an artificial heart. So classic Silver Age giant object story, obviously, and yeah, so that all happened, but he's worked with Robin. You know, can he join the mystery analysts? And they're saying, well, no, you can't. And here's the explanation. Storms off without hearing the explanation. So, can't be a mystery analyst. Meets up with his pal, Robin the Boy Wonder. Turns out they've got a secret hideout, like secret from the adults, in an abandoned observatory. And here's the idea that he's going to disguise himself as Robin because he thinks if he can fool Batman, the world's greatest detective, that alone will demonstrate his fitness to be one of these mystery analysts. So there's all sorts of stuff about the disguising going on. Apparently there's a, because I was thinking, you know, he's the world's greatest detective. He's going to see, isn't he, that you know that you're not the real guy. But there's some special tight-fitting face mask is going to go on. These are makeup skills taught by Batman himself, so you know it's going to work. He's got fake fingerprints. He's taught how to fight like Robin in a short space of time, and then off he goes. Uh, so yeah, thinking, this is going to work. I'll be one of the mystery analysts. And he's at Wayne Manor. He must know, Jimmy Olsen must know that Batman is Bruce Wayne. I don't know if that's generally or just to make this particular story work. But he's there at Wayne Manor, fooling the servants, going back to high school. You know, it's like if this was a more extended story, you could have a whole Freaky Friday kind of vibe to it, I suppose. Because here he is back at high school. He romance is in the offing, etc., etc. And then off with Batman on a mission to fight the Scorpion Gang, who are a bunch of hoods led by a woman in a beret. Big fights. He's kind of an evil beret, yeah. No, not really. A beret would normally be. Trying to think. Berets in DC Comics.
Berets generally would signify arty, bohemian, hip to the groove.
Yeah, you get some of that, and then there was one of the war characters, Mamselle Marie, who's a resistance fighter. She wears a beret. Um, and then Batman trips over a drill, and he's out for the count, and oh my god, being threatened by the beret lady who's got this strangely bendy ray gun, which is You will suffer agonies worse than 1,000 deaths. She's threatening to kill Batman, and Robin's like, Robin, it's not Robin, is it? It's Jimmy Olsen dressed as Robin. He's like, yeah, whatever. Go ahead and kill him. It's no skin off my nose. Can that be good old Jimmy Olsen talking? So there, Batman gets blasted, and Robin's Robin Olsen is laughing because he knows it's the mystery analyst in disguise, and it was all a trick because they knew all along, and they take their masks off. Everybody knew everybody else's disguises, um, and yeah, he'd slipped up in something he'd said about this Scorpion gang. She knew the Beret Lady had used a line out of one of Kay Day's mystery novels, so she was tripped up by my own dialogue. So all's well that ends well, and they make Jimmy Olsen an honorary member of the mystery analysts, to which he says, "Man, oh man," and that is the end of that story.
Man,
So
oh man, that's the best he could do.
The whirligig of time continues. Yeah, well, it was the late 60s. What's he gonna do?
Oh
Man, oh man, the end. It also says you get a caption saying the end.
okay.
So that was the Superman family, which I didn't come here to mock the comic. I think I've got a respect for how they generated those stories that had, although they were super repetitive, continually coming up with variations on those themes. Um, like I said earlier, there's some good visual storytelling in this, and all in all, an interesting, fun package from of its time. I'll be interested to see towards the end of its run in the early 80s how they were doing things then. I think they switched to having all new stories, and yeah, just about what's up with this bike ad though. Would you pay $119, $154 for the 10 speed based on this drawing of the bike where the lines don't even make sense? um, yeah, I'm not going for. Well, yeah, but you'd only qualify. So here's the thing. It's talking to boys and telling them about the 10 speed, but you get the catalogue that's got details of 3 speeds for mum and dad. The old people only need 30% of the gears. A 5 speed for your big sister. So the more male you are, the more gears you need, and that's what you get. It'd be great if the bicycle actually looked like that.
Like a real bicycle.
Right, enough. Thank you for watching that vlog week. People who've stuck with it. Yes, I'll be back soon with something else. Goodbye.